Welcome to Chicago, the Windy City, and my home for the next 2 nights. The urban sprawl of the city, the timeless classics, and the beauty of the lake, Chicago has a vibe for everyone. On this trip, we're going all in on Chi-Town, from the hot dogs to the pizzas, from Wrigley to the beaches, and everywhere in between. And yes, my friends, there will be Malort.
Tastes like a tire, like a burning tire.
So sing it with me. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ultimate Chicago adventure. Our adventure begins in downtown Chicago at the end of summer. It's such a great time to visit the city because the weather is fantastic. It also felt like we had the entire city to ourselves because the summer crowds had dwindled and we took advantage by walking the city.
The Windy City, literally windy. And there's a Ralph Lauren restaurant. This is wild. This is a Starbucks.
To me, the largest Starbucks in the world is still a Starbucks. And that's not why we came to Chicago.
All those suckers are waiting in line to go to a generic Starbucks. We're gonna go to Stan's.
Fresh coffee, free samples, and a whole lot of donuts. A nice little snack that tasted even better to us. That's because we got here on a train, overnight from DC to Chicago, and let's just say the food was not great. The train arrives early in the morning, so we couldn't check into a hotel, but we killed time by exploring the city and finding fun things to do and eat. Walking through the city really stirred up our appetites, so we hopped on the L and headed to a fun neighborhood called Lincoln Park for a must-have Chicago staple.
Last train trip to Chicago, I had my first ever Chicago dog.
All the ingredients that I hate so much, all on one hot dog. It's so sour.
And now that we're back in town, we've got to get a hot dog again, and that's why we're at Chicago's Doghouse.
The vibe and the menu are incredible. On a normal day, I'd probably be ordering the alligator or rattlesnake sausage. But today, we're here for the Chicago dog. Mustard, tomato, onion, relish, pickles, sport peppers, celery salt on a poppy seed bun, and never any ketchup anywhere. Pretty much all the ingredients I would hate on their own, all in one hot dog. But was I correct in 2019, or am I more refined? It definitely hit me hard again and I had flashbacks, but in the end, it was freaking delicious.
My taste buds feel like they've just been in a war. There was like every type of flavor possible fighting against each other, but in the end, it was world peace in my mouth. The Chicago style dog at Chicago's Doghouse is unfreaking believable, and I saved one more bite for last. Next stop on the trip, we are in Wrigleyville.
The neighborhood around Wrigley Field is called Wrigleyville, and it's home to a place that serves up another Chicago favorite.
And here it is, the Al's Italian beef. It's good. It's so soggy. Italian beef.
Al's turned out to be the perfect place to fill my stomach because what was coming next was crazy.
When in Chicago, you gotta look for the bat signal. That's the bat signal right there. Old style sign.
An old style sign means a real Chicago bar, cool bartenders, and that a Chicago handshake is imminent.
We got the old style. We've got the warm Malort. All right, Malort, cheers to Chicago.
At this point, you're probably wondering what Malort is, and the answer, you don't want to know. This was my first time ever hearing about Malort, so the bartender bought me a shot, and I quickly found out that Malort is the worst.
Tastes like a tire, like a burning tire. It's like permanently in the back of my throat. I'm breathing burning rubber. Jesus Christ. Oh, it's so bad. Well, it lived up to the hype. It is the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life.
Next up was the Nisei Lounge, an encounter with the Nisei Ghost, and yeah, another shot of Malort. Why not? As dinner approached and more Malort came into my life, I started to think, was I wrong? Is this not the worst? I don't think so. But I think I had to try one more time just to really make sure. And, oh yeah, my final answer, Malort is awesome.
All right, here's the thing. We're in Chicago. That's where deep dish is from. Not a huge fan of deep dish, but just for this video, we are going to get some deep dish, and we're gonna get it at Lou Malnati's.
When you go to Lou's, you want to order the Chicago Classic, which comes with a giant pizza-sized sausage patty baked under the cheese. Lou's has that crispy, buttery, dusty crust, the interesting sausage style, and that sweet, sweet flavoring.
This is awesome.
Lou's changed my mind a little bit on deep dish, so the next day we headed back to Lincoln Park to another deep dish spot.
So last night we went to Lou's because it was close to the hotel, but the whole day, every bar we went to, everyone's talking about Pequod's Pizza. Rule number one, don't just show up here, make a reservation. This place is extremely popular.
At Pequod's, the crust is charred black and crispy, the tastes are savory, and the toppings are fantastic. We ordered the meatball pizza, and they did not disappoint. It was like mountains of meatballs.
Each slice is like eating a whole pizza. Soft, but also crispy. An awesome Chicago experience at Pequod's.
The touristy deep dish was okay, but I wasn't gonna leave Chi-Town without having a real Chicago pizza.
So we did the Chicago deep dish thing, but the type of pizza I wanted to have coming to Chicago is the thin crust Tavern Style pizza, and that's why we are here right now at Pat's.
Pat's has been around for 75 years, and it's much more laid back than those tourist deep dish spots.
All right, here it is, the Tavern Style. Sausage, green pepper, mushroom, and onion. Thin crust. Look at that. Paper thin. Cheers. Not a huge fan of deep dish pizza, although the two spots we went were pretty good, but it was awesome to get some real thin crust pizza down here at Pat's. It's paper thin, it's delicious, and I think I've had enough pizza for one weekend. I mean, it's a perfect 72-degree day. Walking through the park, birds are chirping. The city is right there, and now I see why people would want to live here and go through those crazy, cold, windy winters.
There are so many free activities and outdoor activities to do in Chicago.
You know, on these trips, we do some cool things, but we gotta do some tourist things as well.
One of the things about Chicago people don't know about is it's actually a beach city. It's right on the shores of Lake Michigan, and there are so many beaches along the shore to enjoy.
This is the coldest water I've ever felt in my entire life. There are a lot of great walking trails and paths along the water. We saw everybody having fun on their bikes, so we picked up a couple of e-bikes. We're gonna ride the trails.
How cool is the mix of urban and beach on this trail?
Now this is a good way to get around Chicago.
The Lakefront Trail is an 18-mile trail that runs up and down Lake Michigan, and it might be my #1 recommendation of things to do in Chicago. This is one of the most popular bike trails in the entire country, and looking out at the beaches and blue water, you can see why.
This is the biggest beach I've seen here.
It was our last night, and the Cubs were back in town, so we had to head back to Wrigleyville.
We came to Wrigleyville yesterday, but tonight We're actually going to the game, and there was one spot we missed yesterday, so we're gonna go check that out.
We missed going to Murphy's yesterday, but one rule for today, no Malort.
It's Murphy's Bleacher Bar. We've got our old style. We're ready to pregame here for the Cubbies. This is the place to go before the Cubs game because where's Wrigley Field? Right there.
The bleachers would have been cool for the video, but we actually got good seats, and it totally paid off because something incredible happened.
First ever foul ball at a Major League game.
Yep, my first foul ball, and at Wrigley Field. How cool is that? So cool, I had to reward myself with this crazy thing.
Drinking an old style out of a cut-in-half wiffle ball bat at Wrigley Field.
This thing was like $40 and it only was 26 ounces of beer. Definitely not worth it. After the ball game, it was time to go across the street to Sluggers for some more games. But we had to get there before the crowds arrived because this place gets jam-packed.
It's so crazy that a bar has batting cages in it.
After a few home run swings, we headed down the street to Sheffield's and then to a really cool karaoke bar for a grand finale. Good night, Chicago. There's nothing cooler than seeing the Chicago skyscrapers towering over the turquoise waters of Lake Michigan. The city is absolutely beautiful at the end of summer, and we had an awesome trip on this vacation. It may have the reputation of being dark, cold, and windy, but it really comes alive in the summer. Last time I was here, it was on a 4-hour layover on my cross-country train trip to California. It was freezing cold, but I still had a lot of fun. On this trip, however, we really unlocked the city of Chicago. I sang Take Me Out to the Ball Game and caught a foul ball at Wrigley Field. I tried the worst drink in Chicago called Malort. I enjoyed amazing parks, trails, and beaches, and I had a Chicago-style dog, an Italian beef, and all the pizza in Chicago. There's a lot more we didn't do, but that's for the next trip. So thank you for joining me out here in the Windy City, and I look forward to seeing you, Chicago, on my next DMV adventure.